Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. So it's a weekend thing again. Sitting around just kind of recovering from the week before, and all of a sudden, boom, you're going to talk about all those downloads you've been getting. Okay, so here we are. For me personally, right now it's the middle of February, however it counts, if it counts for you, that there's a lot of upgrades going on for me personally. I'm feeling very overwhelmed sometimes with rushes of energy, hot flashes, weird sensations, all kinds of stuff. So the ethers are busy and the downloads are huge when they're coming. There's just consistent information coming from heaven to earth to bring that bridge together of bridging heaven and earth. And yet the polar opposite, at the very same time, you have wider and wider chasms opening up of people who are resisting that change. We don't want new earth, we want new world order, or we want, whatever we've been doing, no matter how we designate it. So you see the coming together and the alignment and the assignment of our divinement with some, and you see the absolute splitting apart of those that just absolutely refuse. I'm not going to play by those rules. You can't tell me what to do. And it looks pretty gross and nasty. So here's the deal, is that understanding that polarity, we live on earth. Okay, in the ethers, the further you get away from earth understanding and earth experience, you lose that polarity. It becomes more unified, the unified field. It becomes closer and closer and closer in alignment with that frequency. Here on earth, we have free will. We don't have to be in any kind of divine energy. We are in that pool of divine energy. However, we can choose to block it off and pretend like that it's not a part of who and what we are. We can choose to believe that there's whole entire groups of society that are not part of that. We can choose to find a way to alienate, make ourselves superior, make ourselves inferior, make ourselves something so that we have that division, we have the split, we have the obvious, I'm better, you're worse, or I must be worse because they're better. It just depends on where we are on that, and we can be on either end of that spectrum pretty much a billion different places in our lives. Just ask 222. Just ask us how we feel about this. We might be over here feeling quite superior, and over here we might not. So the key really isn't in residing in either one of those weird places of I'm better, here's why, nor is it good to hang out in the I must not be as good because. It's far better to live right there in the balance of I am a human being, I'm here having my human experience, and I'm looking to unify and get into that most loving frequency, which doesn't contain either of those sides exclusively. It contains and embraces, understands and recognizes and brings together both sides to understand that I'm balanced in my emotions and in my experience, and I'm rising closer and closer in that ascension process. I'm rising and rising and rising and becoming more aligned with that divine. Not that I'm going to get there by being nasty, ugly, hateful, horrible, and exclusive in one way or another, or that I'm over here just ignoring that that side exists. We can't do either polarity. If you think about it in terms of a triangle, the earth experience is held in a container of our universe that is very mathematical, and it's a very precise machine. There's precision, there's mathematical calculation, there's a whole science of it that we don't know nearly enough about, and so we're attacking it from the science side as best as we can, and we're mostly making a lot of speculations about what the rest of it is, and we've come up with a whole bunch of fantastic stories and ways to assimilate that information. And if it serves you to believe something, then by all means align with that and help you get to that assignment with the divinement. If it does not, then perhaps it's not the most streamlined understanding. And I can't tell you any more than anyone else can rightfully what one of those stories might be. But if we think about a triangle, if we think about the triangle and this understanding that we're here at the base, we have polarities. So if I'm over here, believing myself to be quite holy, quite righteous, and quite all kinds of things that are better than you, or better than those people, and better than that understanding, then I'm down here at the bottom, which is the lowest frequency in this experience that I'm, this particular instance, that's the lowest frequency. Then at the pinnacle, which is balancing out both sides of that. So if I'm over here believing myself to be very, very righteous and holy, and that side isn't, then I'm at the base of a triangle at the lowest vibration. We cannot pick up one end of a stick without picking up the other end of the stick. And rather than using one end of the stick to wield our magic and our mouth and all kinds of things and go internet ranger and change people's lives instantly, how about we turn that stick upright and get in alignment, you know? And rather than condemn one side or the other, or look at the other with jealousy, hatred, whatever, or start parsing out which story is right, how about we pick up the stick that we're trying to, you know, call one side or the other better, just pick that up and let's move it this way and get rid of beating each other to death all the way around. There are many things in the system that need to change. However, if we really think about, do I want to be down here being highly polarized? Because if I sit around believing that I'm so holy, that I never have anger, that I never have this, I never have that, then I'm full of shit, just like that side's full of shit to believe that I'm full of shit. I mean, it's all a very wrong understanding. And I've had an opportunity, unfortunately, fortunately, however it is, that over the last month or so, I've really seen the cracking apart of people that I used to follow, a spiritualist that I used to follow, who had some really good things to say for a while until they hopped out at their point of fear or unwillingness or obstinance or ego or whatever it is that would take them there to, that person's bad and here's why, and start blasting actual people. And I'm not saying that we don't need to call out systems that are unhealthy and not working. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when it's followed on with, and they should be persecuted, they should be, you know, God's gonna. And unless we really can, you know, definitively be quoting God directly or quoting Jesus directly, you know, none of us have any way to verify that unless we really believe what we believe in here. And if we're believing what any face out there says and that they are the oracle, they are the one, then we're believing a whole lot of stuff that leaves one person, one idea, one identity, one religion, one spiritual practice, one something, one religious organization, one governmental organization, one anything, then we're limiting ourselves to that one idea. And these spiritualists that I had been following, when they started coming into an understanding that, oh, you just locked it down into they deserve to be, you know, punished, they deserve to be outed, ooh, that really just, that says to me, you just went and slammed all the way down, you know, into the polar opposite thing. You're carrying a stick and making sure that you're using your end of it to beat the shit right out of the other end of it. And that's the old paradigm. That's the old belief system, that crusty, dusty old idea that if we're going to talk about Jesus, and a lot of people do, especially right now, Jesus didn't say anything about that. He didn't say find your superiority and then make sure that you are very stank about it and that you are self-righteous and condemning of other people. That's not what he said. He said love everyone equally and forgive. Forgive, give from your heart, give very generously, and stop doing that hypocrisy stuff. It doesn't serve and it doesn't deserve a place in a temple to be doing unholy, very unsacred things. So we can look around all over the place and see demonstration after demonstration after demonstration of things being way out of balance. We can see people that are picking up one end of the stick or the other, and it's very easy because that's the conditioning of the age of Pisces that we used to be in, or the age of, here we are in 2024 currently, and that's the way it's been historically in memorable history that humans know about. However you assimilate that information, the story is irrelevant. It's getting to the point now that whether you believe in past lives or not, whether you believe that Jesus is coming back or not, whether you're a Buddhist, whether you're an atheist, an agnostic, and anything, all we have to do is look around and see what's the way to go forward with balance, with kindness, and with humane treatment of even our worst people. And believe me, we got some little buggers running around on the planet that I wouldn't want to sit down in a room anywhere close. Like, please keep a distance. However, to say that they deserve to be sucked into, I just unsubscribed from someone that said this, that they deserve for the earth to open up, a chasm of the earth to open up and suck them into the fiery gates of hell. And I thought, you know, that's pretty intense, that you're out of your mouth going to say things that are aligning with such loving thought and yet not be able to contain the idea that That's not what that is. That's not what that unified field of loving frequency would tell us. It would not tell us that the closer you get to Earth, yeah, that's what we think and that's what we hold in our ideas and in our consciousness, obviously. However, that's not how it's dealt with out here. It's a very mathematical and precise system that takes care of itself. And it's just that that system is imposing and infusing itself more directly through that non-existent veil anymore, and through very strong energy pushes and energy upgrades, and from Earth to heaven, heaven to earth. We're experiencing that on a much more noticeable scale. We're noticing very heavily that that year of justice, my dog's having a good time zooming around, we're noticing the year of justice, the year of balance, that time in cosmology and cosmic history, in our understanding that has been foretold of by many, many, many different spiritual masters and religious studies. We have known that this shift is coming and that it was happening. We've known from a lot of different sources. However, pushing it through a paradigm anywhere that understands that human on human deciding who gets to go and who gets to stay, that's a very dangerous thing, because if I say that and I get a whole bunch of followers, then I've just started a cult. And 1111, I know that there are so many people that get bent and turned off because they think they've reached a place of real spiritual, oneness with something, and they have. It's just that there's more beyond calling judgment on other people and standing in some pious position that we've landed somewhere and that we've got nowhere else we need to go except wait for the, the Holy One, whichever one we believe in, to come here and fix the rest of this. We created this on this planet. We are responsible for cleaning it up. We are not going to get out of the process of having to deal with the dirtiest of the dirtiest, 1144, the ugliest consciousness on the planet. And it's not changed or made better, transformed, alchemized, or healed by pretending like it deserves something over there that blah, 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 blah. Especially when I hear about the people that talk about reincarnation, and they're talking about that stuff too, that how do you know you weren't that the last time? I mean, that's where a lot of those stories break down, and where we don't really want to sit down and do the work to say, why do I feel like I have authority as one human being to another? We all came into this earth experience the same exact way, and we all leave the same exact way in terms of dying the same, excuse me, cellular death that takes us out. All the trappings of, the details, those are all different. However, we are all born into this experience the same, and we all leave here the same. So what would give me authority, even as a chosen one, even as a starseed, even as a light worker, even as an elect one, even as I've designated myself something greater, better, and more holy? And how do I stand anywhere with any justification that I'm holier than you are if I truly believe I'm holy? Then what am I believing holy is? Is holy equivalent to better than you? It means that I've found my balance whenever I don't need to announce my sacredness. I just stand in what I am, which is a human being who's working through her spiritual stuff, and assuming that other people are doing whatever they're doing, whether they're consciously working on their spiritual journey or not, whether they make it to an imaginary, illusionary, or real finish line or not, is irrelevant to me, because me looking at somebody else's life and taking on some burden of what they should be doing, that's time I'm wasting that I can be learning about my own self and how I can rise above even caring what anybody else is doing, and cutting away from people who are very interested in watching someone else suffer because they did. How does that system change? All we've done is exchange a very lofty idea that yes, this is the year of justice, then allow that stuff to happen. Allow it to happen organically and get out of the middle of it. Because how do I think that I've changed anything when I'm okay with knowing that suffering is going to continue to happen? What sense does that make? Does it make any sense that Judas would have needed to be punished any further than he punished himself? He's the one that needed to take his sack of whatever he had whenever he got done exploding or committing suicide or whatever he did in the woods or the desert, wherever he went. It's him that has to take that and move that wherever he goes, whatever his story is, whatever the truth is, whatever all of it is. And I don't have authority to tell another person that their story is not true or that it isn't real. What I know for me is what I know for me. It works for me and I'm very happy with that. However, if it doesn't work in somebody else's world, it's not their timeline, then how can I really impose upon them my beliefs and try to call them into what I'm believing and tell them that what they are believing is wrong? That is no different than saying that you don't deserve that job because you're the wrong color, or you don't deserve that position because you have breasts, or, you know, a penis isn't allowed here, or transgender. Those are those judgments that the year of judgment can mean a whole lot of things when we take it into that context of I get to judge you here from a spiritual level. Then where do we stop with that? Well, we don't. We end up with government bodies who are making horrible decisions on mass people's behalf. And whether we like it or not, we have unconscious, very sleepy, sheepy people making decisions that are not very principled and not very kind. And even those that are there making those decisions that are that, when there's a greater number, it can appear that that's, you know, why we need to stand up and call it out and do this, that, or the other. And I still contend and will not back off of it, not one time, that what do I truly believe in? Do I believe that mass numbers of dark and sleepy, dumb people, dumb as in this is dumb and numb, do I believe that a mass number of those people is stronger and more capable of destroying humanity than the loving frequency of God, the universe, universal intelligence? What is it that I truly believe in? And if I'm somewhere believing that I have to physically, you know, work that hard to make sure that I knock people into some sense and all of that, then I'm not really trusting that the guidance, not for me personally, other people can do whatever they want to. It seems a whole lot of fears wrapped up in that, that if I truly believe what I hear is leave people alone to make their choices, because then they are left with their choices and you've got no engagement whatsoever with it. It's a clean exchange of, yep, you've been handed off back to your own turf and you're not in mine. And that can look like war for a second while we're flicking people off. However, I don't want to wish someone would suffer or wish that they get what they deserve. I don't have to. That's like saying that I hope that a person who trips, you know, on a rock somewhere falls down and bumps their head. If they trip and they fall down, that was an act of gravity, and it would be the same for me. So why would I need to wish that someone would have their karmic return, or that they get their justice, or they get what they deserve, any more than I need to hope and pray that I get what I deserve? It's the same stick. We're just looking at it from one end or the other. And the more balanced position is to see that when I am walking with integrity and I'm moving in the light and I'm taking righteous, conscious steps, then I do get what I deserve, no matter whether it looks good to me or bad to me. It means that if I'm experiencing something that doesn't feel so great, there's some work for me to do. And if I'm over here experiencing, this is really awesome, I like this, then cool, I seem to be more in alignment with my divinement, you know what I'm saying? And the less that I'm gonna be concerned about needing to worry that I hope they fall down, I hope they fall down, I hope that there's a, you know, bump in their road somewhere that they fall down. Gravity is, you know, universal, and it's non-partial. It doesn't care. That's the same as karma. It's the same as balance. It's the same as a scale, and not a human scale that adjusts itself based on who we like more, or who believes our story, or who doesn't believe our story, or who, you know, is on our side and all of that. No, cosmic scales are just and righteous and holy and right and mathematically precise. We don't have to do anything to push scales of justice. And when humans put their hands all in it, that's the mess that you see happening. And unfortunately, as we continue to see weirder and weirder, you know, things coming around and spooking around in astral places, I'm seeing, me personally, I'm seeing spiritualists that were saying some really great stuff not too long ago, suddenly getting afraid, or suddenly feeling, you know, their oats and feeling very self-righteous, starting to say some things that, yeah, I don't know what that looks like in your world. I just know I have to cut away, because I don't want to be aligning with someone that is saying things that are out of integrity for what I need to be doing. If their timeline is the right one and I'm wrong, it's okay. I'm willing to take the risk that I could be wrong, because I'd rather stand every day of my life feeling so much better about my life than worrying about what's going to happen on Judgment Day or when I die or whatever. If I'm wrong, okay. However, my active life that I can actually validate and prove right here, right now, every day that I'm living and breathing and having my being, I'd rather be making sure that I'm making those steps that are righteous and holy and sacred and very divinely guided right now. Because for me, that sets up a whole lot better understanding of how this works when I do transfer over to the next state of existence, whatever it is. And though I do have my personal understanding of that, I don't know what it is for other people, and I don't know how they'll experience it. I can't even confirm out here in 3D how that experience is really, truly going to be for me. However, I know living every day of my human life in fear, that doesn't work. I already tried that. It was hell, it was grueling, it was awful, and I was in the poorest state of health that I could possibly be, physically, financially, emotionally, everything. So, spiritually, I mean, that was the worst state of being that I could ever have been in, and was. And it wasn't until letting go of all the stories, letting go of all the, well, they should, getting rid of the word should altogether. You know, I had somebody tell me years ago, a beautiful therapist, don't ever let anybody should on you, girl, and certainly don't let yourself should on you. Do not let yourself be shoulded on by anyone, you know, including yourself, especially yourself. And so should goes in with those stories of they shouldn't be doing that because. And it's very easy to do. That's the old paradigm. And it's our ego that would allow us to stand there and believe that we have the story well above somebody else. Because if you ask, you know, the Hindus, they've got the story. If you ask the Southern Baptists, they've got the story. If you ask the Unitarians, they've got the story. If you ask the Rosicrucians, they've got the story. So everybody has a story, whether they follow a spiritual path or a religious path or no designated path. We're all on a path. It's a matter of how we wish to be walking our walk in this world. Do we wish to be going on the Great Red Road, or do we wish to not acknowledge that at all? And the less I put my assumptions and my story and try to overlay my timeline onto somebody else's, then it really doesn't help the system at all, because I'm mucking up whatever their storyline is. And how do I know that that storyline, that timeline, doesn't have work it needs to do, that by allowing people to make their choices and be very clear about mine, that it's serving the greater good and serving the purpose of the divine better, to keep my timeline from spilling over and meshing with somebody else's. It's a much cleaner exchange, and the universe isn't that messy. The universe is very mathematical and is a very precise system. However, human beings in their messy energy, we are not. We are learning how to clean up and be, you know, more in alignment. However, right now is a very messy and sloppy looking time, and the less that we get into places that we call divine and muck around and bring our ego and start pushing people around or telling people what they should or shouldn't be doing, the better that is for the collective good of humanity. And to be very honest, I'll wrap it up 2233 by just telling you that my mission on Earth is to support the grid work of and the crystalline grid of planet Earth as she's ascending and continuing to evolve, and all of the natural world as we pull in all the energies from heaven to Earth, if you will, or from the ascended realms to Earth. My mission is to support that very, very heavily, and to unlock and free up energy that's bound in different places of human beings that have been here already and were slaughtered. So that's my work, and to me, that made the most sense, that by helping Earth, she's so supportive of us, no matter how we're experiencing all of, you know, natural disaster, natural world, etc. She is so supportive of us on our journey, as well as all the energies that support this. And so by supporting her and freeing up those energies, it allows me to be more understanding and more capable of seeing where those same patterns are just enacting themselves here still in the 3D, out of the fear, out of the control, out of whatever the main theme is of that timeline. And by supporting her healing, it's actually supporting the good and the collective of humanity, because we're riders on this experience. We're riders in this experience. We did not create Earth, and we do a whole lot to destroy her. We are guests here, and the more that I've honored that, the clearer my path has become. However, no matter what my path is, no matter what I say it is, no matter what it truly is. I still am not going to tell anyone else that that's the way they need to go. We have billions and billions of people on the planet, therefore we have billions of slots that are needing to be filled of people in their rightful, righteous, holy, ascended, awake place, truly awake place, the most kind and humane place of existence that they can be. We have all of those slots open for each individual person, and there's room for every single person to find their divine and to be divine. Now, the holy truth is that a lot of people won't. We're in the transition period where a lot of people are just going to be terminally ousted out of the game because they're just not playing well. They're going to be miserable right up until the day that they die. However, leaving those people to their own choices means that whatever their storyline is, whatever the truth is of this, whoever's right in the end, it means that I've kept it clean and I've kept it out of my purview of believing that I know better than that criminal over there or that nasty person that I've judged. Now, I can make assessments and I can definitely look at things and discern what works well for the planet and what works not for the planet so well and what works for me personally. And putting any judgment into it is right where I need to stop, that I need to only discern what works for the collective good and what doesn't. And putting my stank on it is where that needs to pull back. And that is the work of most people on the planet, because we all come in here and we all leave the same. We did say that. However, we're all not navigating. We're not all navigating our ego or our ego challenges the same. Some of us are willing to get in and look at that stuff and say, why would I want to be in charge of that? Why would I want to have a sense of superiority over someone? Why would I want to know that even people who have harmed me, done horrible things to me, why would it make me feel better? How could it make me feel better to know that they are suffering because of that? That in fact does not make me feel better. Somehow, if I could interview Jesus, I don't know that I would hear from him say, yeah, I was super glad to see that Judas went into the woods and just lost his mind, you know, and that if he hadn't gone ahead and taken care of it himself, that I would have called my dad and made sure that he made him suffer. That's a horrible thing, that we're assigning a lot of very low vibe stuff to ascended masters. That, no, that's an unfair, in my opinion, my humble opinion, and the great knowing that I may not be right. I'm only right for me. However, in my humble opinion, that's a whole lot of garbage to assign to a man that was saying, love everyone equally and be quite forgiving. And Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They're fools. They have no idea what they're doing. And somehow parlaying that into Judgment Day and all of that, that just, it really hurts my soul. Sometimes deep, that we're busy destroying our planet, destroying each other, and standing around and assigning all of that very dark and negative, nasty ego stuff to a lot of ascended masters that is not, in fact, what they said when we get down to it. So I hope that this is helpful in some way for you, and I hope that you're enjoying your day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. It is absolutely fine, and your divine can lead you, guide you, and show you how to stay in line so that you are living in your highest timeline possible, no matter what it looks like in comparison to anybody else. It's not comparison shopping. This is a time of sovereignty, absolute sovereignty, spiritual sovereignty, which would guide everything else. And spiritual sovereignty for me doesn't need to go through a church or a spiritual practice or anything in particular. It needs to go with whatever serves that person's soul the best. And if soccer, you know, is what gets a person there, then please soccer away. Please play all day. If that's what brings you to your highest timeline and keeps you in that space of I'm feeling divine, I'm acting with integrity most of the time, then please play soccer every day if that's what feeds your soul. So there you are. Thank you again. As I said, get within your skin, because you're divine. It's totally fine. Take care, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.